Hello to viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Future Friday, we're going to talk about Janus Electric, which is basically a company that does EV retrofit. So let's dive deep into it. Now, why do we need quote unquote EV retrofit rather than making a new EV? Well, our world runs on trucks, basically these puppies. And it's one of those things that is important for every single nation. There is like around 200 nations, all of them rely on it. It's not optional, it's not like a add-on, it's compulsory. We must have it. It's used for food to goods and everything in between. Basically, there is 100% of thing that is generally transported on top of them. So these puppies are the backbone that we need. And if you ever wanted to switch technology, let's say 100% of them are running on diesel. Okay, cool. You want to switch it, whatever it may be. Let's say you want to switch it to ammonia, you want to switch it to hydrogen, you want to switch it to EV. It can't be done. Flat out, it can't be done because world's production capacity is generally at 5%. What does that mean? That simply means because these puppies are such a long lasting product, they cannot just make, like let's say India is consuming 500,000 trucks. We have no need of making 500,000 trucks because those are old trucks are not dying that quickly, and people are not just swapping. It's like, oh, new model out, so I'm gonna buy it. It's not mobile phone. So there is always a very small basically capacity in terms of new construction. Basically, how many new technology trucks you can make and deploy, that number would be very slow, 5%. So what does that mean? That simply means if you ever want to change from a nation's point of view, that like let's say Australia, let's say European Union, let's say India, and you want to change it, it will literally appear like it's going to take forever. And like again, you can brute force it, but that would be stupid and dictatorship kind of thing. And generally, it will destroy your country if you just brute force these puppies to stop. They are backbone and they're very important. And not to mention, they have a lot of capital invested into this, and these are real money. I'm not talking about stock money and all that fake money. This is real, like as in like people, companies, corporations, they spent serious amount of money on fleet of these, and that's running cost is very high because they are so important. So the amount of money that is tied into quote unquote assets that are trucks, that is very significant. You cannot just like, I'm gonna pass a law and I'm gonna just like force everybody to use new trucks. Even if you can somehow increase this 5% to let's say 50%, you still won't be able to do it because the capital loss, literally many firms will be like, okay, I'm out. Many mining companies, I'm out, bro. If so many things will just go, I'm out, bro. You will be shocked. So that's why it is very important thing that we have to do something wise with it. So what's the idea? The idea is very simple. It's wiser to do retrofit on something as big and as complicated as a truck. And we already have the hundreds of trucks, and these trucks are going to be in circulation for very long time, and I'm talking about 10-15 years. Those are generally on the lower end. Some trucks can easily be in service for much longer than that. 30-year is not unheard of. 30-year is like, 30-year-old truck, yeah, okay. It's not even shocking. It's like, okay. So it's one of those things. And they have very long useful service life, 15 years of useful service life. So what can we do? Well, if we put electric battery in there, charging time would be brutal. Even if you have megawatts of electricity, somehow charging still would be brutal. So we can use battery swapping technology. Basically, you yeet the battery, same way you yeet load into a truck, you just swap batteries. That way, you can get the truck back on the road exactly the same speed as refueling a truck, or maybe even quicker, because I did not knew this. Some of these big babies, they could literally have 2 tanks, and those tanks are like miniature tankers. They can easily hold 1,000 liters. I did not even knew that tanks can go that big, and I did not even knew there are trucks that have 2 tanks, and each of those tanks are like minimum 600 liters to 1,000 liters. Yeah, at that point in time, it's going to take a long time to fuel it up. So, yeah, again, going from zero to, and in those sort of contexts, the battery swapping would be like, dude, done, go home. It's much quicker. So battery swapping solves that headache. Okay, what about torque? Because you have to understand, when you are talking about a car's load change is minuscule. Meaning, let's say there is an electric car that is 2 ton. You are not putting 2 ton human in it. You're not. You're just not. Again, pickup truck maybe, tow trucks and all that maybe little bit X in terms of, let's say X is the weight of the tow truck, whatever have you, cyber truck, and then how much it can pull, generally it will be 1X or 2X. It won't be 10x. But when you're talking about trucks could literally be like, hey, truck is only 10 ton, but it's pulling 70 ton. Truck is 15 tons, truck is pulling 150 tons. That's normal. So how do we deal with that? We deal with this puppies, gearbox. We use ginormous gearbox, because again, a truck has to work in a such a way where it's working idle, and it also has to work quite efficiently when it's fully loaded. So normal gearbox lasts 6 gears, it's not gonna cut it. So we have 18 speed gearbox. And can we design an electric motor that can take care of all of that? Yes. Should we do that? No. Why not? Well, to give you a context, Tesla has like very good OEMs that manufacture their puppies, the motors. Are those good motors? Absolutely. Are those efficient? Absolutely. Do they have infinite torque? No. So what happens when they wanted to design a truck? They had one motor that has enough horsepower to do everything, but they had to add 2 extra motors with clutches just to give that pickup and all that. So somebody is like, hey, instead of doing all that hassle, and I only need, let's say, 500 horsepower. So if I have a 500 horsepower EV motor, why not just use a goddamn gearbox? We invented this puppy to solve that issue. Like, we invented this just to solve that issue, that no matter what you have, there's always torque limitation. So why not just have a motor that is like very efficient at very wide torque range, and we just send it through gearbox? And again, maybe in future we can redesign a gearbox. Rather than, let's say, having 18 stages, it may only need like, let's say, 9 stages. It can be done. Like, gearbox solves that issue. So single motor, single drive unit, and you're good, you're solid, you're efficient, and you solved all the issue. And you no longer need to have hydrogen ecosystem. I love the guy who was developing this company. He's like, he said this one dialogue, and it satisfied my soul when he was talking. He was like, hydrogen is getting a bit too much oxygen. And I'm like, right. So the idea is very simple. You have trucks, just retrofit them. Battery charging is an issue, you make battery charging swappable. You have a serious issue where no motor has that magical torque capacity. You don't worry about it. You put it a motor that is good enough with a gearbox that is normal enough, and the end, go home, sweet dreams. That's the idea. So let's talk about the Janus Electric company. Now this company started in 2019, so not an old puppy. However, they had a very simple goal. Trucks go through a rebuilding cycle. Basically, they looked at AA trucks categories, and they realized like these puppies can easily last for 30 years. So they have very long life, and after every certain X amount of mileage, let's say 100,000 kilometer or 500,000 kilometer, whatever, you go to the manual and they will tell you like, this for this model you need this much. They go into the maintenance yard and they do complete engine rebuild, meaning it's not just oil change and all that. No, everything has to be redone. Again, these puppies are big, robust, solid things. The only way they can maintain that big, robust, solid type, basically, category is that if it's properly redone, properly maintained, properly, taken care of, so to say. So there is a slot. In the lifespan, there is a slot. For few days, the truck is out of commission. So, okay, you got that time slot. What about the money? So they set themselves a challenge that these trucks are very expensive, like idiotically expensive. And the maintenance cycle itself is $100,000 kind of deal. It's expensive. So they are like, we have a slot where these trucks are going there for idle time. Okay, we have a X amount of budget. Okay, what can we do with that money? So the idea was, when truck is going there, you're gonna strip it naked and yeet basically ICE components, internal combustion engine components. You just yeet it out of there. Exhaust, yeet it out of there. Engine block, yeet it out of there. Fuel tank, yeet it out of there. Everything that is there, that is sole job is to take care of the basically internal combustion, you yeet it out of there. Then you figure out the weight. How much is the weight of everything that you took it out? So roughly weightage, they coming around 3 tons. They are removing 3 tons. Okay, awesome, cool. So they made sure everything that they are adding from EV point of view, basically the motor driver, the radiator, tiny radiator comparatively speaking, and all the electronics, it should remain inside that weight category, meaning they remove 3 ton, they must make sure everything they are adding is inside that 3 ton bracket. Okay, they solved that part, and weight did not change. Now, what about the battery? Well, that's the interesting part about them. Because battery is swappable, they are not giving you battery. Basically, you own the car, basically truck, awesome. You don't own the battery. Now, why is that? Well, they realize battery is going through exponential growth, exponential change, and if some new technology comes along, you do not want to be stuck with old battery technology. You don't want to be that. You're like, hey, I just new battery technology, let's say lithium sulfur battery came along, you're like, just add lithium sulfur. Lithium titanate came along, you just add lithium titanate. You do not want to be tied down. So they have a different basically subscription model. So pay as you go. Basically how much kilowatt hour you are consuming, the battery is basically gonna figure it out how much you consumed from that, and they are gonna run the basically battery stocking system, basically how they're gonna swap the battery. This is their job. You are just renting the battery technology and you have the car or truck. And what fleet owner is going to get? Well, let's say they built this is a real thing in use, not for demonstration, in use. So why do fleet operators are going for this? Well, less maintenance. Trucks, while they do go through rebuild, they still have maintenance cycle, and that's a very big downtime. That maintenance goes down, and not to mention the expenditure on the maintenance also goes down drastically. And again, how much brake maintenance goes down, it's drastically. And there's another benefit. Regenerative braking is not that awesome at low speed. Why? Because again, RPM is not high enough. You want motor's rotor to be going super high, then that's the point where regenerative braking is awesome. But here's the deal: once you have gearbox and you're going downhill, even a shallow hill, you can literally put it on gear first and it can have like 18 speeds of amplification. And at that point in time, even if you're moving at few kilometers per hour, your motor rotors will be going bonkers. At that point in time, regeneration is like, bro, I got you back. They have so much regen, they can actually reach almost dead stop. Why? Because of the gearbox. So gearbox is not just a hassle for them. It's like, oh, it allows us to dramatically save the braking pads. Dramatically. It's like, oh, because they know that they have a toggle setting. It's like little bit of regen, ludicrously high regen, bitch please regen. So they can do that. And again, brakes are expensive on trucks because again, they go through too much, hassle. Here it's like, bro, relax. So less maintenance and runtime cost. Runtime cost is 1/3. That's their aim for. And some scenarios where they are dealing with, let's say, people who have a circular path, basically, let's say a railway port or a shipping yard to basically a warehouse. They're like, hey, warehouse have giant solar roof area. Just put a giant solar farm, directly charge the battery, because again, battery is not directly connected to that. They don't have to charge it, when they need to. They're like, hey, peak solar hour, only then we're gonna charge it. So they can do that, and voila, their running cost goes down so low. It's like, shut up and take my money. And that's why this company is like, even as early as from 2019, they're getting orders and they have delivered. I'm not talking about like, oh, they're gonna do it. No, delivered. Sir, done. Take it and go. Done. So what's the result of this young puppy? Well, they are not vendor locked. What does that mean? That simply means you can go to them with your Mack trucks. They're like, bro, I got you. You can go with them with a different truck brand. They're also working with Volvo now because again, they are truck independent. I am reasonably sure if they wanted to, again, if there was a demand for it, they could even retrofit Indian trucks. They have no limitations. Like, okay, you have a truck, of course they will study it, because some trucks like the idea of nozzle battery swap, some like the side battery swap, again based on your design, but it's completely independent. It's not a vendor lock system. It's like, no, we have to have this truck. It's like, bro, we got this. They're gonna study the model, they're gonna figure things out, and they're like, done. That's why they have these 3 trucks, and these 3 trucks are completely different brand. And battery charging, and this, they were very clear about this. If you charge your battery during peak hour, because when you are consuming, like, the battery box could be as high as 600 kilowatt hour capacity. If you charge this puppy, you're not gonna get a residential energy section, you're gonna get a commercial sector. Commercial sector have different ratings. What does that mean? That simply means at peak time it would be so expensive, you would be better off running on diesel. That's how expensive it is. But at off time, it would be super cheap. So the idea is, having this battery swappable system is like, charge these batteries slowly during off time, during non-peak time. And the grid is also very stable. It's like, bro, I got this. And trucks are quieter. What does that mean? That simply means, because they don't have 16 liters of diesel going boom, boom, boom. It's like quiet, very quiet. What does that mean? That simply means they have unrestricted access to city. There are many blocks, residential area, even towns, that you cannot just go YOLO through it. You have to go through rush hour time kind of thing, where people are used to noises. If you are doing that at middle night, you can be sued. And again, people have been sued. That's why there are residential areas you cannot just go through, because they have very strict noise regulation. This puppy is like, I'm quiet, baby. Nobody even notices. That's a very big win for people who are running these trucks. They're like, oh, I can go through this route also, and my diesel brethren cannot go through this route because noise complaint. So And be mindful, everybody complains about these trucks because they are too noisy. It's like, wait a minute, how the heck that happened? Well, because they had giant engine going, everything in there was built to be just make sure it's quieter than that puppy, and everything was quieter than that. Once they removed that noisy part and they added like electric motor, which is like silent, everything else started making noise, which happens again, which is a common thing happened for electric vehicle developers also. It's like, oh, like I'm driving basically a very low-end car, and if I did retrofit, everything will be noisy, because again the base level will go down, my sensitivity will go up, and normal things, even like steering motors, they will start to make noise. And in these things they have air compressors, those started to make noise. They are like, dude, please make the air compressor silent. You can watch that in video also. People are talking quietly, but because there is no background noise, it's like everything else is shouting. So that's ironic part, but it's a good problem to have. And because of less heat and vibration, there are so many auxiliary units added to these puppies, so many auxiliary units. It's like all of those will also last longer, because you have to understand, diesel has GG amounts of energy. Problem is we throw 70% away. What does that mean? That simply means if you have 1 megawatt of energy, 70% of that energy would be just waste heat. So when you are talking about normal diesel trucks, when they look like that, why they have such a giant radiator? Because they're dumping that heat. They can't do anything other than that. They have to just dump that heat. So that is brutal for everything else. Everything else. Here, everything else is just like, relax, bro. Relax. Chillax. So if your motor is only consuming, let's say 500 horsepower, the waste is 5% of that, not 70% more than that. So results are awesome. Again, real world thing, built, delivered, people are using it. So what we can expect in the future? Well, this is one of those things that I'm truly happy, because this is like, we have these tools, let's utilize them. Let's not go for like, magic promise, hululu, sex. It's like, we have this, let's just make it. It's very calm, it's very down to earth kind of approach. And I love the fact that this company is not getting governmental, and even in that scenario where they are not getting government, they have this. This is a company that's like, government is rewriting regulations for them, and there is this company, it's like, yeah, we have a truck and people are using it, and nobody even notices it because it looks exactly the same. Nobody notices it. It's just like, that truck was kind of quiet. Maybe it's a new engine rebuild, maybe it's new suppressors. It's like, nah, bro, electric. Nobody even notices. That's the amazing part of it. That's how you change the world. Like, have you ever noticed, like, we no longer pay attention to smartphones? Why? That's the whole point. When technology becomes really good, you don't notice it. That's how, like, it's a multi-truck. Where compare that to Tesla, it's like, we have this amazing truck which we claimed that we're going to deliver like few years ago. Then that event became pre-order. Then the next event became pre-order, and at the end of the day, we have only few models that are like, closed beta. This is like, bro, use real world, take it and go. And the company was created in 2019. So this is one of the things, and it's very easily scalable. Again, from 2019 to physically delivered things, and they are right now under talks with some mining companies, because mining companies have their own road. They're like, they have a bit more freedom. They want special puppies built for them, and those are road trains. Those are not like, oh, 2 trailers. No. Those puppies are long puppies, and they are working on that. And the rate that they are working, they will have that puppy done as early as like 1 year from now. And that's their Volvo evaluation. So completely scalable, easily scalable to 100%. You don't have to throw things away. You don't have to rebuild anything. It's like everything, you take it and go. And if battery technology changes, no problem, sir. We just take that box out, yeet the old chemistry, put new chemistry, everybody good. If something bad happens to that new chemistry, let's say something unstable, and in real world it's like, bro, it's not working out, no problem. We can go back to old chemistry. Everybody is happy. And not throwing away working parts. That's awesome. Century of knowledge that we put into the gearbox, why throw that away? Like that gearbox, again, it does have the benefit in the case of where you have dynamic loading. Use the gearbox and have amazing regen. And of course, let me be very clear, it's not sex. It's not like, whoa, like how we say cars are like sexy. It's like, of course, I'm gonna be damn sure about that fact that Tesla Semi looks sexy. This does not look sexy, but here's it's here, it's real, it's being used. Nobody thinks too much about it. It's like, what about the battery swapping? Again, they designed it. And right now, their swapping time is 5 minutes on basically normal forklift. And they are working on robotic system, which will reduce the time to sub 1 minute, meaning it's going to take less than 1 minute. And you have to take break regularly by law. Like every few hours, you have to take breaks by law. And again, you have to pee also, unless you are human. Like you are lizard, then I don't know, but like if you're a human, you gotta pee, man. So if your battery swapping can be done quicker than your peeing, we're done, we're good, we don't need more than that. And the fact that batteries can be charged calmly, slowly, of course we will design the battery charging station based on the loads and requirements, but those things are flexible. They're not like we need 1 megawatt per hour or 10 megawatt per hour of charging capacity. It's like, bro, that's brutal. Good luck getting it. I like this idea. And they have, again, did the crash testing and all that, because again, there's a completely contained metal box. I would not be surprised somebody tomorrow in future, they built metal harness that is designed to handle fire. Basically, even if it burns, it's like, yeah, minor issue. It can be done. So I really love this idea. It's not magical, it's not sexy. It's just like, it's a thing that works and you don't have to worry too much about it. You don't have to throw your old technology. We have worked so hard to develop these puppies. Let's just give them new life. Let's reduce the e-waste. Let's reduce everything else, and everybody wins. Without government subsidies, these people are flying. And I'm like, imagine if, and I love that guy, hydrogen is getting too much oxygen. It's like, imagine if this, problem solved. Like this is one of those things where it's like, smart use of what we have is much better than going for magical fusion technology. So this was my presentation on that EV retrofit. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.